CRU gentleman just hung up the phone looking very happy using my skills. I just transferred over $10 million across 4 countries and 12 banks, and managed to launder his funds and protect him from any government investigation. My name is Tony. I have become known and respected as someone who is excellent at moving money, hiding funds, and protecting people from prosecution and jail. I never ask where the money comes from, and I never interfere with their business to protect myself from the authorities and keep my moral compass in the right direction. Oh, I know what these people do for a living, but I believe in the rule of no questions asked. So we will not lie to you. The work I do has earned me a good amount of money. And using my own strategies, I have 16 bank accounts in countries, 10 cryptocurrency wallets, and a company that owns my house, my cars, pays all my bills and expenses. I receive a salary from the company of $50,000 a year that I use for unexpected expenses. The company makes a small profit each year to keep me in good standing with the tax authorities. This strategy also protects me from any legal action, lawsuit, or divorce, because I show little net worth and very little income on the books. Many of my clients understand my value and offer me things I can't accept as a thank you for solving their money problems. They offer me women, drugs, travel protection, pretty much anything you can imagine. So far, I have not accepted anything from them. My current situation has led me to accept help with surveillance protection and some aspects of the force. My friends in the business world were happy to finally be able to help me and thanked me for the work I have done for them. My wife Jane considers me an advisor. Financial. What am I? Am a certified financial advisor. She doesn't know how much I make, what my funds are, or any of my offshore accounts. All she knows is that the company pays off the mortgage on the $5 million property, the cars and expenses. She never really asked for it, because she doesn't have to work, drives a new luxury car every year, and has an unlimited budget for shopping and entertainment. I thought I was happy and loved being with me throughout our 5 years of marriage. Jane was great in bed. We often had love-making sex several nights a week. She was wild in bed. She knew how to please me and turn me on in return. I satisfied her the pleasure. The fantasy, sex, and love were a great combination, and I was living in paradise. But apparently my paradise was about to be hit by a Category 5 hurricane. Jane and I were a couple for 2 years and got married at a tender age, 25 years old. We have been married for 5 years. Jane just turned 30, and with her ample bosom, long sexy legs, and incredible figure, she could easily be any man's trophy wife. Her blonde hair and amazing blue eyes can charm any man. She always caught the eye of men and was constantly harassed, but she would not respond to their advances and would show her engagement ring and her 3-carat diamond ring to let them know she was married. Before we got married, I found out that in college she was dating a man named Josh Winters. She was madly in love with Josh, but he wasn't ready to commit. Instead, Josh joined the Marines and their relationship eventually fizzled out. Now I found out years later, Josh Winters left the service and came back to our town, and Jan couldn't get over his love for him. When Josh came back from his 2 missions, he, of course, searched for old friends, including my wife Jane, was always smitten with him. And after getting her cell phone number from a mutual friend, he texted and called her trying to meet up. Like before, it was 6 weeks ago that Jane started acting differently. Probably out of guilt for communicating with Josh and keeping it a secret. The excessive tension and extra sex play with me was nice, but unusual for Jen. She was always attentive and cheerful, but it was clear that something had changed in her behavior. I didn't wait and paid more attention to Jean that weekend. One of our friends mentioned Josh at a barbecue and said he was back in town. I asked when he was back, and it coincided with the Changs I had noticed. And at Jay's the next day, I called one of my business friends and told him what was going on and that I might need his help. He was thrilled to finally be able to do something for me after all the money I had made him, and how I had kept him out of trouble with the feds. I gave him all the names and information, and he said he would contact me soon. Who knows what these guys are doing? But they very quickly gave me a 4-inch file on Josh Wynn, containing almost his entire life and information. Everything from a copy of his birth certificate to his college records, his family tree, and military records. I knew more about this guy than his own mother. I had also been receiving a daily printout of these text messages, including 15+ messages a day to my wife. I was told not to ask where he got his information from. At first, the messages were friendly and what you would expect from an old friend. but after the first week, they became sexual. I was glad to see Gene put a stop to his advances. But after another week of persistence on his part, he finally managed to break through the barriers, and she began to flirt back. My anger at this predator grew as I knew Jan still had feelings for this guy, and I knew there was trouble ahead. After 4 weeks of flirting and messaging, he convinced Jane to meet him for lunch. This guy even had the nerve to ask her to wear something sexy for him as he missed her so much. To my horror, she agreed and even asked if she should forget her underwear like she used to. I spat as my anger reached a level I hadn't felt in a long time. I asked my associates for advice, and they gave me some ideas on how to deal with this guy. We agreed that he would be better if I met them face to face during their lunch with someone nearby for protection purposes. Of course, we knew exactly what time and where they would meet, thanks to my friend's surveillance group, who helped me with this problem. I walked into the restaurant and found them sitting in a secluded corner. Jen was wearing a sexy dress with a very plunging neckline and no bra, which made me furious again. They were sitting in the restaurant together on one side of a private booth. They looked quite close. I saw a man following me, who I assumed was one of my bodyguards. As I approached their table, my wife and her lover both looked at me when I said hello. "Hey, genius," and I said. As I slid into the booth across from them, the tall man who had been watching me was now sitting 3 tables away from me. Looking Jane with a friendly smile, I asked, "Are you not going to introduce me to your friend?" The scene was intense as I stood there staring into Jen's eyes. Josh looked at me with a confused expression, but my wife looked at me with a mixed expression of shock and guilt. They continued to stand side by side, holding hands on the table after realizing what was happening. She tried to free her hand from Josh's, but he was now holding it tightly, smiling at me, a smile that turned into a grin, showing me she was with him. This Syrah, full of confidence, had no intention of backing away. "Darling, this is Josh Winters." "Josh. This is my husband, Tony." I have never seen him so nervous. Josh seemed to find it funny and didn't say a word, just giving me a knowing smile as if to say, "I have your wife, and there's nothing you can do about it, mate." Without wasting any time, I just looked at Jane Andy, trying to stay calm down. "I hate to interrupt your dinner, but I need to talk to my wife for a few minutes alone. Could you please let her out of the booth?" He finally let go of her hand and walked out of the booth, allowing her to leave. She stood up, clutching her bag to her bare chest, standing between Josh and I, looking scared and worried. I took her hand and led them to the back of the restaurant to the restrooms, still nervous and feeling guilty for being caught like that with Josh. She walked quietly without saying a word. I dragged her into the empty men's restroom and started talking. "Jane, you're not wearing a bra, and your breasts are hanging out of that dress. You're dressed like a fallen woman, and I don't understand why you're disrespecting me like that." She stood there crying without saying a word. Then I lifted the hem of her dress to make sure she really wasn't wearing panties. She saw my expression in horror, then in anger, holding the dress above her waist. I turned her towards the mirror and forced to look at her reflection. "No panties, no panties. That's how you dress when I'm not around, Jane. What are you doing? You're turning into a fallen woman. This behavior is unacceptable from my wife," she screamed, pulling her dress to cover her nakedness. "No, it's not what it sounds like. I know how it sounds, but I have a good explanation, and then you'll understand." I promised to explain. In a commanding and dark voice she'd never heard from me before, I spoke slowly, emphasizing each word. "Obviously, we need to discuss this. If you hope to stay married to me, you'll do exactly as I say. If you don't, then don't bother going home because our marriage is over now. You're going to grab your bag and get out of here staring straight ahead and not looking at your boyfriend. You'll go straight to your car. We'll drive home. House, we'll put the coffee maker on and wait for me to come home. I won't be more than 10 minutes late. You are not to text or call your boyfriend or anyone else before we talk. I will talk to your boyfriend and explain why you had to leave." I noticed she wasn't looking me in the eye, and I guess it was because she felt guilty for being caught like that. "And one last thing, when you get home, don't change your clothes and stay in that dress. I want you to wait for me in the same outfit you're wearing now. If you don't respond to my request, then don't even come home tonight. Then I will call you later to tell you how things are going to go from now on." Oh my God. What do I do when Josh came to see me? I was happy to know he was safe and not alarmed like I had always been worried about his safety. Josh was my first love, and it took me a long time to get over him. After he left me many years ago, we grew apart, and even though there was no love between us, I still thought about him. I know I love Tony, and he has been the love of my life since we met. I would never want to lose him or hurt him. That's why it hurts so much. Damn, Josh started flirting and telling me things he knew would seduce me. He always had a way of making me do things and act like a schoolgirl, and I hated the fact that I couldn't resist. I tried to push him away, but his constant flirting and sexual messages wore me down until I finally agreed to meet him for lunch. Talking to him made me feel so guilty and mean. I knew I shouldn't do this, and that I should tell Tony that Josh was back in town, and we had talked, but I kept it a secret, and I regret it more than anyone can imagine. Josh has a way of making me feel like he owns me, and when he asked me to wear something sexy, I said yes. I knew it was wrong, and that I shouldn't even have lunch with him, let alone wear that dress, but I knew I would. What made me suggest you come without panties? Am I really that shallow and stupid? Yes. When we were dating, he always insisted that I didn't bring anything. And now when he asked me out to lunch, it was like old memories coming back and becoming normal. I almost said no because I felt so guilty, but a text from Josh saying he couldn't wait to meet me set me on that path. It was hard not to tell Tony, but I figured a formal dinner just for the old memories wouldn't be a big deal. Just for a few hours like before, like he said, Josh knew how to make me do things, even when I didn't want to. I'll be honest, when I saw him at the restaurant, I felt arousal. I knew we had a special chemistry, and now he looked even more attractive than I remembered. 8 years in the Marines had sculpted such a mass of beautiful muscles that any woman could dream of. My face flushed as he kissed me and helped me to sit in a private booth. It was like old times. We were laughing, and it was like he had never left. I felt happy and excited to be with him, and when he took my hand on the table, I felt safe and warm. We had only been there for a few minutes, laughing and having fun, when suddenly Tony appeared in front of us, and the next second, he sat right in front of us with a sadistic smile who gave me chills. My heart stopped when I realized what I was doing, and what it felt like when Tony saw us holding hands. My world fell apart. I saw the pain and the anger in his eyes, and I wanted to jump out on the table, hugging him and telling him how much I loved him, and taking away his pain. I never meant to intentionally hurt Tony, but that's exactly what happened. The way he looked at me with disgust and contempt broke my heart. The man I love and have been with for 5 years was looking at me with another man, a former lover. I didn't know what to do, and I stood there frozen and speechless when Tony said he wanted to talk to me. My heart broke because I expected him to tell me it was over between us. When he dragged me into the men's room, I didn't know what to expect, and when he lifted my dress to reveal I wasn't wearing any panties, I nearly fainted. I can only imagine what he was thinking, and at that moment, I felt like a spoiled and unfaithful wife when he told me to go home and wait for him to come back. I remember how it sounded. The way he was acting terrified me. I knew I had to obey him to save our marriage and make him understand why I did this. I have to fix this and just accept everything he says. Then when he said he was going to talk to Josh alone, I was scared for him. Josh is way bigger than Tony, and with 8 years of training in the Marines, I was scared Tony would get hurt. I wanted to tell him not to do this, but I was confused. I tried to apologize, but Tony just told me to go home and he would be here soon. Then, when he told me not to change my clothes, I realized I was in deep trouble, and it would be hard for me to explain my actions. How did I let Josh talk me into doing this? I didn't want him in my life. I just wanted to relive old memories and having fun, but looking at it from Tony's perspective, it looked like I was going to sleep with Josh. Damn. How can I was fixing this. I felt like everyone was looking at me as I walked to my car through the restaurant. I didn't dare look at Josh, and I knew he was wondering where I was going. It took me a few minutes to stop crying enough to go home. It was the longest drive I can remember. Seeing the pain in Tony's eyes made me cry again. How could I do this to him? I can't believe I let Josh manipulate me like that, and somehow I have to make Tony understand and get his forgiveness. Damn. I'm in a lot of trouble right now, and it's all because of Josh and my stupidity. When I got home, I put the coffee on and stood there wondering what had happened in their conversation. How long before Tony comes home is he going to yell at me? Can I save our marriage? I need it. I don't want to live without Tony. And he needs to know that he is the only one I love and want in my life. I went back to the table and talked to Josh, and well, it seems like Jane is not coming back, and I just wanted to talk to you. I'm sure you know Jane still has feelings for you and is easily manipulated, as you have seen today and over the past few weeks. But you have to understand she is married to me and I am not going to share with you. I am not a possessive or reckless person. So today I am going to give Jane the choice to stay in our marriage. Leave me for you. But not together. She will make that decision on her own. Without your influence. May the best man win. And if she wants you, so be it. But if she wants to stay in our marriage, she will not contact her again. If you don't hear from her today, I expect you not to call or text her. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Listen, man. I will call or text Jane whenever I want. She is a grown woman and makes her own decisions. She doesn't belong to you. I can guarantee you one thing: she will be with me again. Sooner or later, she can't resist the memories of our lovemaking. Sorry, but you will have to live with that, he said again with the same smirk. Oh, Josh, I hope you will be reasonable. I mean, you are a tall and muscular, handsome guy. I'm sure there are hundreds of single women who would like to see why guys like you don't leave married women alone. You see, Josh, you can be a big macho, a nice guy who I still have feelings for, but you underestimate. Look, Josh, you don't know what I do for a living or who I hang out with, and that my friend is your first mistake. I know everything about you and what you've done, by the way. How are your parents, Michelle and Ingrid? They really love their two dogs, Cassie and Mickey, don't they? You know, it's been over 4 years since you saw your sister Kate in Austin, and those 3 girls are growing up and would love to see their Uncle Josh. Oh, and the girlfriend of, and your best friend Billy, is pregnant and having a boy. I don't think she's told him yet, but I'm sure he'll be thrilled. I've read all your messages to Jane, and I have to say you're persevering. Look, you can be a tough guy, but the friends I have at work are Yable and owe me a lot now. I smiled at her like you said she can't resist you, but tonight we'll see who's the strongest man. Does she want a macho loser like you? Or will she stay true to our 5-year marriage? You see, Josh, I'm going to be objective. I'll give her the choice. Her choice will be simple. She can choose to be with you and leave me in our marriage, and if that's her choice, I'll respect it and wish you both the best. I won't live with a woman who wants another man, and I won't share her. It will hurt, but I'd rather let her go now and move on now. On the other hand, if she decides to stay faithful, there will be changes for her after her little escapade with you today. You have also damaged my level of trust, and it will have to be restored as for you. If she stays with me, you will not contact her anymore. That means no texts, no emails, no phone calls, and no contact with friends. You will disappear from her life. If you walk into a restaurant and see her, you will turn around and leave. If you are at a party or a club and see her, you will leave. You will do nothing behind my back. You will try to contact her because the pain you will feel will be like nothing you have ever experienced. Your loved ones will lose their stupidity. Do you understand what I just said? Do you understand how serious I am? Josh stood there with a stunned expression on his face, not knowing what to think. How the hell did you know so much about my family and my life? Like I said, I have a lot of friends that owe me a favor, and those friends are not the people you want to get involved with. I may seem like a goo, but let's just say, there's more to me than meets the eye. Are you really going to give her a chance to leave you for me? I'm a man of my word. Yes. If she was another woman that would have shown me such disrespect as she did to you today, I would have already kicked her out and ruined her. But I love this woman, and I will give her one chance if you are right, and she can't resist you. Then by midnight tonight she will contact you and be yours. The other choice is to forget you, to respect my marriage vows and remain my faithful wife. If she stays with me, you will be dead to her, and you will not interfere in our marriage anymore. Tony, I hope you will keep your word to let us live in peace, because I think that she will want to be with me. That's what she told me, and I know how much she wants me. Josh said, trying to sound confident and responsible. This guy was arrogant. But I had to wonder if he was right. I quickly got up to leave and said, I hope I never hear your name again, or do something I'd rather not do. but we'll see soon enough. As I was leaving, the man in the shadows got up, gave Josh an angry look, then left. A minute after me, Josh got a message that I had a bodyguard and that he may have misjudged me for a sweet, innocent husband. I walked home wondering if this woman I loved so much would be in my bed again. Will she choose him and leave me? Or will she stay true to her vows? As I entered the house, it was quiet. She sat nervously at the kitchen table, drinking coffee with tears in my eyes. I poured myself a cup and sat down at the table across from her. Jane, I know everything, including all your messages to Josh, before you ask me how I know. Keep in mind I have many friends through my work relationships who owe me many favors, and they are people you would rather not meet right now. I know you are sorry, so please don't say anything, because it doesn't make sense to me right now. You betrayed my love, and today you did something I never expected and never thought you were capable of doing by putting it in front of me today. You showed your disrespect for me as a husband. You know me. And I will not live with a woman who doesn't respect me, no want, and the sanctity of our marriage, you know. That many people think that the definition of a cheating spouse is only when the spouse sleeps with their lover. Some people think that kissing is not cheating. But in my world, just thinking about being with another man is a lie. Kissing and caressing go way beyond cheating and are unacceptable. The conversations you had with Josh, the sexy dress you wore without a bra, exposing your suggestion to come without panties, the way you sat together holding hands in my eyes. All of this separately, and especially together, constitutes a betrayal. You gave your love and attention to a man outside of our marriage. Yes, obviously there was no kissing, and that is the only reason we are still communicating and having this conversation. You should know that I will never share your company with anyone, and I will not tolerate a cheating woman. I know how close you were to Josh, and I understand that you still have feelings for him. However, I also know that you are married to me, and I can tell you without a doubt that I will not share you with him or with anyone else. The reason why I have not kicked you out yet, and that I love you madly, and I will do anything to keep us together. However, before we go any further, I have a question, and don't because I might already know the answer. While you are sitting with him without panties, did he touch you? Did he touch you? Or did anyone else in our marriage ever touch you there? No, I swear to you. Never. No one ever did it. Only you, but you were willing to let him do it today, didn't you? She lowered her head and started crying again. I don't know. I didn't mean to do that. No, I'm so sorry for all of this. I'm such an idiot. Forgive my stupidity, Tony. Well, if he had touched you there, this conversation would be over. It seems that apart from a few handshakes and a few messages, nothing has happened to end our marriage, although I am disappointed in your actions. Tell me, why did you wear that dress? Showing off your charms. Tell me the truth. Did you plan to seduce him and get him into your bed? Oh my God, no, I will never. This is hard to explain, but I just wanted to look sexy for him and relive some of my old feelings. I know it was stupid and selfish, but he just has a way of making me do things. I never intended to sleep with him. You have to believe me, Jan. I want to believe him. But everything you did today leads me to a serious question that I want answered. I told you that I will never share you with another man. Nor will I marry a woman who is in love with another man and wants to be with him. I am going to give you a choice, and I want you to think about it seriously, because once you choose, I will never accept betrayal or disrespect from you again. I know you love me, and I understand your past feelings for Josh. That's why I'm going to give you a choice. I want you to choose between Josh and our marriage. If you want to be with him, I will let you go. I will treat you fairly in the divorce and allow you both to live safely without any retaliation. Or you can stay in our marriage. Stay faithful to me and honor your marriage. Vows a simple choice with long-term consequences. Now, if you choose Josh, I will ask you to move out of the house with your belongings by the weekend, and I will begin divorce procedures immediately. If you want to stay married, you are to have no contact with Josh, not today, him, or ever. That means he will be dead to you. I then stated the same demands I had made to Josh, never be in the same place at the same time, and what I would know if that happened. She agreed without hesitation. So Jen, today, you have a chance to make it. This opportunity only comes once in a lifetime. You have to choose between your ex-lover and loving husband. I'm going to take a shower, and when I get back, I'm going to need an answer. Choose wisely before I leave the kitchen. She stammered. Of course that I choose you. My darling, I love you and I don't want anyone else. Jane, you are betraying me today. I heard what you just said, but I want you to stay here for a while and think about it carefully. If we stay married, you'll have to rebuild the trust we once had. You'll also have to help me get over the pain and anger you've caused, which won't be easy. Take your time and give me your answer, after I get back considering your actions today and your feelings for Josh. This is too big a decision for you to make without some deep inner reflection. And I say, leaving her crying with her head in her hands. I took my time to shower and get dressed, and when I got back to the kitchen, she came running to me, hugged me and kissed me. Tony, I will never leave you, and I will never do anything like this again. I promise to make up for it, and to be the perfect woman I am, your wife, and I want your children, so don't leave me. Please, you are the only man in my life. I love you, she said, kissing me and holding me tighter than ever. We kissed and held each other for a few minutes. Then I carried her to our bed and found my wife. My anger motivated my actions as I sexually assaulted this beautiful woman, and she gave herself to me completely. I love you, Tony. Please take me. Then she pulled me close and kissed me tenderly. I loved her long and ecstatically. We reached sweet heights together. Then we held each other in silence for an hour until the world around us faded. We were husband and wife again, and we both knew nothing would come. Never between us the next day. Josh thought about it. Damn, she didn't call me, so I guess she decided to stay with that idiot. I can't believe it, the way we got along and the way she acted really made me think she would want to stay with me. I know if I could have gotten her into my bed that day, she would have left Tony in a heartbeat as soon as I could. She'll be mine again. Her husband really ruined my plans. Who is this guy, and how does he know so much about me and my family? Well, I'm not done yet, and I think I can get her back. Sorry, Tony, but you're gonna lose that girl a few days later. The idiot Josh finally got the idea to text Jane to try and convince her to leave me and be with him. Which didn't surprise me. The good news is, Jen showed me a text message, and there was no didn't answer. I told her I had already seen her message and was glad she didn't answer. And I told her that showing me the text was a smart step towards solving our trust issues the next day. I texted Josh, asking if his parents had managed to find Kaze and Mickey. Josh immediately called his parents and found out how hurt they were when he found out they were missing. Josh realized he had hurt them by getting involved with Jane after Tony warned him not to. I made them disappear for a few days under close surveillance just so Josh would know how serious I was. Josh called me back right after talking to his parents. What did you do? He better be alive or I swear I'll kill you, you bastard. Well, Josh, you can't kill anyone if someone has to die. It's you, my friend. I warned you not to get involved with Jen, but you did. I also told you that if you got involved with her, you would feel pain like you've never felt before. The first time, this is just a little warning. Now I'm sure the dogs will be back soon. But let me be clear, this is your final warning. Don't ever contact Jane again, is that clear? Yes. But he better come back in good condition, Josh. Because you ignored my words. I will do whatever I think is necessary, and you will have to face the results of my actions, now that you just threatened me. He might come back in good condition, or not come back at all. I haven't decided yet, but Uncle is not giving me leniency. In fact, now I'm not even sure if they'll come back. How that sounds silly. I wonder if Mom and Dad should know why their precious kitties are missing. Maybe should I call them? What you think? Idiot. Okay, I'm sorry. Please give them back and I'll stay away. I promise it's better. But next time, it won't be the dogs that disappear. You know what I mean? Okay, I understand. I promise I'll stay out of his life and you won't hear from me again. So when will they come back? They will be home soon. Josh. You know, I'm 1,000 miles away. I can't control everything. These people I'm involved with in their own opinion. But I'll talk to them and see what I can do, Josh. I really hope we never have to have a conversation again because next time you'll have to deal with much bigger problems at 3 a.m. The next morning, Josh's devastated parents cried tears of joy hearing their beloved dog Boyer on their porch. They never found out what happened, where they were, or it was their son who hurt them. Josh heard the news and was relieved when the dogs came back. He even sent me a one-word message after they got back that said, "Thank you." Josh finally understood the situation, moved away from Jen, and got a job in another city several hours away. He tried to find out more. Read about Tony, but never got more than the public information that Tony was just a financial advisor. Josh realized that Tony's information was sealed and decided to move on and start a new life without his old flame, as long as Josh was alive. I knew there was a chance he would come back into his life. So weeks after the incident, I gave Jane a post-nuptial agreement prepared by my lawyer. According to her, she agreed to waive everything, including the right to any children born of our marriage in the case of infidelity. Of course, this couldn't prevent a repeat of her last encounter with Josh, but she had enough incentive to think about the consequences between my new attention towards her and her realization that I will constantly check on her. In addition to the post-nuptial agreement, we will weather any future storms that may come our way. About a year later, Jane fell pregnant with their first child, and the couple were now closer than ever. Jane realized how close she was to ruining her life and dedicated herself to making Tony happy and strengthening his family. No one mentioned Josh anymore, and it was like he never had an ex. One day could have broken everything forever. But Tony's love and attitude towards difficulties saved their marriage.